As the brother of one of the most iconic modern characters in all of fiction, you'd expect Raditz to carry a special role within the world of Dragon Ball, to team up with Goku and tackle the newly expanded universe as a critically important main character. Despite this, Raditz's screen time amounts to a grand total of 5 episodes, with only minor references throughout the rest of the show. Most of the fandom has written him off as an exposition character, only there to facilitate the transition of Dragon Ball from a small-scale martial arts adventure to the universe-shaking sci-fi fantasy it is today. But while it's true this is how Raditz is used, being an expositional character doesn't at all prevent one from continuing to grow throughout the story and evolving into something more. Being Goku's brother and a proud Saiyan himself, Raditz could have played a pivotal role in connecting Goku with his Saiyan heritage, something he only now is beginning to learn the depths of. Raditz is even considered a weak villain by many, despite his status as a high-class Saiyan warrior and a power level far above any character we'd seen up to that point. But to understand the strength of Raditz, we first have to dispel the misunderstandings of his weaknesses. The idea that Raditz is weak stems from a number of short-sighted comparisons in his original arc. He's often unfairly compared to Cybermen, who were stronger than all of Earth's heroes prior to the Saiyans' arrival, and stated by Toriyama to have a considerably high power level. This negative framing likely comes from the fact that Cybermen are portrayed as just little green henchmen, but this would be like downplaying Goku for struggling with Cell Juniors during the Cell Saga.
He should have won! His power level's 1200! All of these Cybermen have the same fighting power as who? As Raditz.
Raditz is also referred to as a runt compared to the other surviving Saiyans.
1 year. And the funny thing is, they're much stronger than me.
And while it's true that Nappa and Vegeta were much stronger than Raditz, it's also true that Raditz was much stronger than any of our heroes going into Z. As a progression, Raditz performed drastically better against Goku than Nappa did, standing as one of the very few villains who have actually managed to kill Goku, given that Goku had to sacrifice himself to allow Piccolo time to hit Raditz with a special beam cannon. Nappa was embarrassed by Goku, whereas Raditz knocked him out with one strike when they first met. Before Goku's drastic impact on the Saiyan way of life, Saiyans very rarely trained, if ever. They're assigned a power level at birth and grow mainly through battle as they conquer planets, and Zenkai boosts if they are greatly injured during those battles. Initially, Raditz was placed into the same group as Nappa, presumably with very similar power levels, with Vegeta being added shortly after. Despite their similarities at the start, Nappa shows a much more boisterous attitude, with Raditz being far more fearful of death than his fellow Saiyans. It's this personality distinction that leads Raditz to fall behind his companions, as it's likely he didn't receive the same Zenkai power boost as the others. While this leaves Raditz trailing behind Nappa and Vegeta at the start of Z, it's no comment on his potential, and we can assume had Raditz survived his encounter with Goku and Piccolo, he'd be much closer to Nappa in terms of power. Like Vegeta, Raditz was a very proud Saiyan. During his first encounter with Goku, he's horrified by the removal of his brother's tail, and implies that the Uzaru form is the Saiyan's true potential.
What happened to your tail, Kakarot?
My tail? Why?
Answer me! No!
It's clear that Raditz doesn't consider his base form his true power. Had he transformed into a great ape, Goku, Piccolo, and Gohan would have had no chance to beat him. Given all the power boosts Goku got from the original Dragon Ball, like the Super Divine Water's potential unlock, or the strenuous training he did throughout that was never part of the Saiyan's way of life, it wouldn't be an unreasonable power-up for Raditz to use during their fight, since the Saiyans rely on this form to unleash their true power, in the same way that the humans taught Goku to train to unleash his. This would have put Raditz somewhere around a power level of 15,000, easily over 5 times all of the Z fighters combined. With all this in mind, it's clear how much potential Raditz has as a warrior. If he had joined Goku and Piccolo after their fight, and was shown how to train properly, it's likely he could have stood his own against the other Saiyans. Given that Saiyans receive a much higher boost via training with each other, as stated by Whis in Super, it's reasonable to assume that Goku and Raditz could have grown strong enough to defeat the other Saiyans just by training hard together for a year. And it's also not unlikely that Raditz could have turned good. Even from when we first see him, Raditz isn't nearly as evil as his fellow Saiyans. When Nappa and Vegeta first appear on Earth, Nappa destroys an entire city of humans just for fun. In contrast, Raditz only ever fights when either provoked or attacked first. The farmer shot Raditz and was killed in retaliation. Piccolo attacked Raditz first, which Raditz brushed off and moved on to find Goku when the scouter detected his power. And Krillin steps up to Raditz, yelling at him to leave, resulting in Raditz slapping him away with his tail. While this hit looks harsh, Krillin's power is so insignificant to Raditz that it probably would have taken him great effort not to kill Krillin instantly. Raditz doesn't seem to be as much of a bloodthirsty maniac as Saiyans like Nappa. If anything, he's just been hardened by the Saiyans' way of life. Genociding species and selling their planets is how Saiyans live, and is bound to have effects on the morality of future generations. Raditz has a strong sense of Saiyan pride. In his brief 5-episode run, he makes reference to it several times, including comments on Goku having lost his own, and being horrified when he realizes that Goku's tail had been removed. He also refers to the Saiyans as the most powerful race in the universe, as well as proudly calling his nephew Gohan a true Saiyan warrior after he damages Raditz during the fight with Goku and Piccolo.
You are a true warrior who is worthy of being a Saiyan.
With such a strong sense of pride in his identity, it's not a stretch that Raditz has an unquestioning loyalty to the Saiyan's way of life, unlike Goku, who grew up apart from that cycle. However, that's not to say that Raditz isn't a villain. He still kidnaps Goku's son and seems to find pleasure in the pain of his brother after he realizes there's no hope of bringing him over to his side. This hardened Saiyan nature sticks with Raditz, but although he has evil in him, he would be far easier to convert to a hero or anti-hero than a Saiyan like Vegeta, who killed his own comrade just because he was injured during a fight.
Maybe you won't be such a disappointment when you're dead!
Despite this, Goku and his friends on Earth change Vegeta from a heartless killer into a great ally of the heroes. The idea that Goku could easily shift Raditz's perspective is supported by a handful of characters throughout the Dragon Ball series. Besides Vegeta, it's been a huge part of Goku's character to help change enemies into allies. One of the main realizations during the Moral arc was this very fact. Goku's ability to forgive and change his opponents for the better is of great benefit to the universe. Goku helped in changing Piccolo from the Earth's greatest enemy to one of the Z Fighters' strongest allies. Tien, Chaozu, Broly, and Beerus from murderous enemies to lifelong friends. He taught Hit the drive to improve, and Jiren the power of having people you can trust to fight alongside you. Goku even had a heavy impact on Zamasu, facilitating the shift in his entire ideology. In Totally Not Mark's video on Frieza, he identifies Goku as a positive flat character, meant to shift the world and people around him for the better. It's easy to assume that Raditz, Goku's brother of all people, could easily be swayed to become an ally and taught the value of training to get rid of his cowardly and deceitful nature, letting him unleash his power and be a strong rival to Goku. Whatever your opinion on Raditz, it's irrefutable that he played a pivotal role in the Dragon Ball universe, ushering in a new era for the heroes and providing a catalyst for many future arcs. Even through his death, he facilitated Goku's training in Otherworld and pushed him to greater heights. Had Goku chosen to revive him and taken the time to teach him to improve his ways, Raditz could have been one of the most powerful warriors in the universe. However unlikely it is, hopefully we'll get to see Raditz again, and he'll get the appreciation that he deserves.